Okay, so welcome everybody to our episode of Expressions Podcast tonight. You may notice that there are only three of us on the panel. Unfortunately, we had a lot of complaints about some of the comments that Sean mentioned during his hot take on one of our previous episodes. So with the way the world is these days, we had to fire Sean. So sorry, Sean. Watch what you say next time, and no issue, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just. I can't believe the Wiggles would threaten us like that after his one little comment. Like the Wiggles of all people. I mean, I would have expected it from Barney. I would have expected it from like Caillou, but the Wiggles.
Well, you just don't know people anymore. You don't know. You just don't know. Actually, April Fools! Ha! Just kidding.
I almost lost it with my
totally lost it. As soon as you said Wiggles, I lost it. I was over. I didn't forget where we were going with this. No, actually, we gave him a raise for what he said about the Wiggles. A 40% raise, which 40% of nothing is still nothing. So thank you, Sean, for not being here tonight, because you're saving the world by plowing our streets, even though we're having a crazy winter snowstorm right now. I know this is our April Fool's episode, which we're launching just before our second anniversary, which is another part of our show tonight. But Sean's out there earning his keep, man. So thank you, Sean, for keeping the roads clear for everybody, being safe. And no, he's not fired. It's just, he's a good scapegoat.
He's not fired. They probably fired me before I fired him. And honestly, everything he said about the Wiggles, I stand 100% behind.
Yes.
Right?
Did you see the scapegoat reference?
That's why I'm the professional scapegoat.
There you go. Exactly. All right. So this is going to be a fun episode. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Doing
good. Yeah. I was exhausted yesterday because the day before I went to 2 wedding shows back to back. In hindsight, it probably wasn't a good idea to hit 2 wedding shows back to back. I spoke to probably almost somewhere between 100 and 200 vendors. And it's just constant pitch for, all these different products and things that they're selling for weddings and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was very mentally exhausting. For sure. It was a fun day, obviously. I brought a bunch of people with me on Saturday when I went to these shows. Had some of my closest friends. I had my mom, my siblings, and Andrew's mom with me. So it was a really good day, but a lot of information. And, it was really my first dip into any sort of wedding planning.
So exciting.
It's definitely exciting for sure.
You've had years to
plan. It got a little overwhelming.
To think about this happening, you've had 12, 14 years?
Yeah, 13 years.
13. See, the one number I didn't say right in between the two. Yes.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's happening. So of course you're going to go crazy planning for it.
Exactly. We definitely want to make it a special day for both of us and our family, and we want to do it right. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of planning involved. And like I said, an amazing fun day. I'm so happy for the people that came with me. It really meant the world, but I was very tired.
Do you have a wedding planner by any chance?
We don't have a wedding planner yet. Well, we don't have anything yet. Yesterday night we talked a little bit and wrote some things down on a piece of paper. Not a piece of paper. Inside a what's it called? A notebook.
Random scrap.
And we made some definitive decisions that we both agreed on. But it wasn't anything like, this is the venue, this is the vendor that we're going to be using. It was more like, okay, these are kind of the dates that we want. And what's it called?
Number of people?
Yeah. What kind of ceremony we're going to be having was another thing that we made a decision on. And what we're going to do in our speech is another thing we made a decision on. So
budget per plate. You decided to go for that $350 plate meal?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely not. We can't afford that.
So, I mean, I just want to throw this out there. I mean, if you're looking for a wedding planner, Brian, myself, and Sean would love to plan. And
the podcast plans the
Oh.
wedding.
there'll be
no.
cars and guitars, and Brian
Drums.
had a great idea where the couple exchanged guitars. That was neat.
Oh my goodness, this
except for
sounds
you,
like
you guys. It
Andrew.
could be like you could
Cars,
exchange like
guitars, and
pet
drums.
groundhogs or something, right?
You can exchange
Um,
D&D games.
Yeah,
Really cool games.
yeah. That would
No, maybe
Yeah.
not. We're not doing that for you.
be,
I like
I
you
didn't-
too
I
much to do that to you.
I didn't even plan my own wedding.
Neither did I. Shelly did most of mine, and as I told you, Aurora, we had a lot of help from Shelly's side of the family, planning food and doing like a buffet style lunch at dinner kind of thing.
Honestly, I feel like buffet style weddings get a bad rep, and they're really good.
They are.
They
Ours
are
was
really
awesome.
good.
We had a great wedding.
Yeah.
Ours wasn't. Ours was to sit down, but we were. We were at a wedding. I was in the wedding party, and I was the last groomsman, so I was right at the end of the table. The buffet was in the kitchen, that was behind the head table, and the entrance line for the kitchen was my side of the table. So of course the wedding party gets their food first. So
Mhm.
I'm sitting there eating, and I shit you not, I had people take food off my plate while they were waiting in line.
People you knew, or just like
No,
the waitress
people
and the
that were
waiter
people that were at the wedding, other guests waiting in line to get into the buffet, were picking
at your
food.
wedding?
No, not at my wedding, at a friend's.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was the first one stunned me, and the second one pissed me off, and the third one got a fork in the back of the hand. No,
well,
there's
I hope
food on my plate.
you don't have any issues like that at your wedding, Aurora.
Oh, hopefully not. Hopefully
Have some
not.
better
Well,
planning.
still lots of things left to decide for sure.
When you get a wedding planner, you should ask them on to be a guest on our show.
Ooh, yeah.
A good
if-
wedding
That'd be
planner would be a good
interesting.
guest.
If you get a wedding planner, I mean,
If
a
I
lot
get a
of
wedding planner, for
Sure.
sure, I'm gonna have a
Sure,
day
okay.
of coordinator. I've already decided that.
Cool.
A lot of venues, they provide that, but there's also wedding planners that just do the day of stuff.
Cool.
And realistically, it's just the person that communicates to all the vendors of where to put things, because I don't want to worry about that. I just want to,
Oh yeah, focus on
and
you.
I wouldn't want the bridal party to have to worry about that stuff either. So I think
we had
that's,
Amy. We had Amy. It was my friend's wife that did all that for us, so it was awesome.
that's
Your
good.
wrangler.
She was my wrangler. Yeah,
Nice to have help. Certainly nice to have help.
piss off
Um,
Amy, man. I'll tell you, everything was perfect until my mother got there. But anyways, that's another story.
mothers. That we could do a whole show on mothers.
No,
We
Anyway.
could maybe
No,
for
'cause if
Mother's
my luck,
Day.
my mom would get internet and then see the show, and I'd get a phone call.
Yeah, mine too, Mark. That's why we're going to do it. Mother's Day show. Making notes.
I'm sick
Yeah.
that day. I was like, "Ah, sore throat."
Speaking of sick, how are you doing, Mark? You having a good week? You having a good
Yeah,
good
no,
weekend?
it's good. I'm trying to think. We had. I didn't have an extremely productive day. I've been doing a lot of office days from home. It's paperwork season for Mark at Mark's, and it's been fun. However, I have to laugh. So I made an error. I didn't make the first error. The first error was made by Purelator this morning. So Purelator brought all my parcels to my store, and in it was this massive box. And I didn't even the receiver wasn't in yet. I came to the door. I signed for everything. Counted 9 pieces. Perfect. Put it on the side. Off we go. Hour later, receiver shows up. He calls me over. He goes, "Mark, this one box isn't for ours." And it's it's a big square, probably 4 foot by 4 foot and about 8 inches deep. And it was fairly light, but a big box. And I look and I'm like, oh, it's for Michael's. So Michael's is 3 doors down. I go, "Oh, no problem." When I go on lunch, I'll run it down there. I'll take it in, apologize for signing for it, and that's it. So I ate lunch, but I ate it at my desk while I was doing paperwork. And so I didn't get out of the store until later on. So around about 6 o'clock, I've got I'm getting manager to the front, and so the manager on duty goes to the front, and he comes back and he's like, "This lady doesn't want to talk to me. She doesn't want to talk to me. just doesn't want to talk to me. She wants to talk to you. I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be here. I was supposed to leave at 5. So, okay, whatever. I'll go out. So I go up and she's like, hi, are you the manager? I go, yeah. She goes, your name Mark? And I go, yeah. She goes, oh my God, I thought Pure Later was fucking with me. I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah, they told me Mark from Mark's signed for my package. And that's why I'm here. She says, there's no way the manager at Mark's is Mark. I'm like, yeah, well, before I got the job here, my name was Steve. And
Yeah, right.
I had
You have to assume the name.
I had to change it to suit the store. If you go into any Mark's, every manager's name is Mark. And she goes, really? And I go, no.
April Fools.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of Community. With the whole Subway thing. There was a person named Subway. Yeah. Anyway,
that was a
sold
pretty
himself to
decent
Subway.
show. Pretty decent show.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
great show. It's too bad you
Yeah.
weren't on that episode, Mark, where we talked about it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah. I was probably busy flossing my teeth or something that night. It was like,
No, it's funny. The reason I say is because that show aired today, and I uploaded it, and of course it was all squirrely. It was like all choppy, and it looked all weird. So I had to delete it and re-upload it. So I did that just before we signed on doing this just now. So now it looks good at least, and it's still
All right.
funny because we start off with our going yeah. But anyway.
all right. How was your week, Brian?
My week was awesome, and I'm finally caught up with all the wrestling photos that I shot this past month. I had 9,000 photos I had to go through.
Oh,
4 different events, three different events. 3.
Slow couple of events. There you go.
Oh, it was awesome. Well, I mean, this is the first time I'm actually saying yes to taking jobs shooting wrestling, and it's actually kind of inspired by the conversation that Aurora and I had with some other wrestlers, wrestling photographers a little while ago. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I decided to say yes, and I've got a bunch of jobs right off the bat, and it's exciting. So we'll see how that goes. But it's a lot of photos to get through, and I don't mind doing it. It's fun. I mean, those photos are dramatic and crazy, right? So you always come across something neat.
I just got that's it. Wedding at a wrestling event.
I can make that happen.
Themed wedding for Aurora.
I can make that happen. We can talk to Brendan.
no.
It would be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Just awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Robots versus wrestlers.
Oh,
Wedding.
battle bot.
Because it's robots versus wrestlers.
Oh, I know wrestlers that could take out those battle bots. I'm just saying. But all right, let's get into this conversation, guys, because we have 2 things to talk about. We have April Fool's Day, but we also have the fact that it's our anniversary. So I'm stoked about that. This is our 2nd year straight doing this podcast. We've had a whole bunch of different shows. I don't know. We've talked to so many people. Aurora and I, we were just talking the other day at work about how amazing it was talking to some of these people that we've had on as guests. Before we get into the whole April Fool's Day concept, just guys, is this show changed anything in the 2 years that you've been doing it? Have you felt differently for doing it? Have you met somebody that's kind of triggered something? I know, Mark, you've talked about how the Christina episode with the food and stuff has really inspired you to do a lot more cooking.
Probably Christina was the one that really got me out of my what's the word? I'm all tripping up here. Christina was the one that made me realize that I do most of the cooking, but it made me realize that it's okay to experiment, to try new things, and to sort of run with it. And of course, if you go on my Instagram now, it's mostly pictures of the food that I make. I don't do it all the time because sometimes it's, every now and again it's a hamburger or something like that. But like tonight, we just had, tortellini, but it's store bought, so I don't make my own pasta. Although I could try it, right? But that's probably the one that's affecting me most. And of course, I'm on my waistline as well because, I'm eating a lot more good food, but, trying things like beef Wellington for the first time to bake that. And I mean, it turned out pretty darn good. I thought, and even last night, like I tried, I was doing steaks on the barbecue and I thought, you know what? I feel like roasted potatoes. So I didn't really know, like not just oven roasted, but like, crispy and tossed in spices and stuff. And I just did it and it turned out awesome. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Aurora?
I think in general, it's just been an amazing, like speaking generally, it's been an amazing experience talking to so many different creative people. It's allowed me to think more creatively on a weekly sort of basis. I think it's really great that I've gotten to know you all too, Like, I feel like we've all gotten a lot closer. We know a lot more about each other than, we did before. And I think that's really awesome as well. I mean, talking for an hour each week, I think is something that we'll do that. So really appreciative for that. If we're going back and looking at a particular guest, there's been so many. That's why it's hard for me to, pull from one in particular. I thought, what's her name? Cass?
Yeah, Cassie.
She was pretty inspiring. Like, I still follow her on Instagram today, and seeing like because she has like the gym, right, and does the workouts and stuff. But she's also, in the police force, which I think is really empowering. Having like another, strong female kind of role model is kind of nice.
She's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that was a really good one for me, for sure.
And that's
I
really
also
cool for me to
recently
hear.
started working out too. So, actually, right after that episode, I started to do. I think she issued like a 30-day walking challenge or something like that. So I tried to do it as best as I could.
Awesome.
I mean, I didn't do it all the way through, but it motivated me to go out and do walking and stuff more. And then, the following year I got the bike, and I was, biking to work and stuff like that. And now I've got a gym membership, and I'm working out at the gym. So
nice.
But that's partially for the wedding preparations and stuff like that too. So yeah, definitely keeping things in mind for sure with that. So yeah.
I think that's my takeaway too. Sorry, Mark. My takeaway is keeping things in mind. All different influences at all different times. Just daily a conversation pops into my head that I've had with somebody on the show. And regularly the one with the snowbirds boss is a big deal for me, because that's like Canadiana, and I loved it.
I was completely fanboying that episode. Oh. And I was even on holidays. I think I did that using my cell phone as my recording.
Yep.
On my mother-in-law's front porch. So that was for me. That was special.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great shows, and it definitely has. You say, we get to talk an hour each week. I've had people on this show that I've known for years that until they were on the show, we didn't have an hour conversation. So to sit and have these conversations each week, I agree with you, Aurora. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a pleasure for sure.
Yeah. Like I think back to, we had like local here, we had Marcia Kamstra, we had Dan Lloyd, local people. And I see them often because I still do photography work for Marcia and her theater group. So I do that. But I also, Dan Preston that we had on the show.
I think about him all the time.
I've known Dan for decades, and that was the most I'd actually sat and talked to him in one sitting. So it was awesome.
Yeah. Just, hearing Big Wreck on the radio and their new song that I just heard, and I was like, oh man, he gets to listen to this band all the time.
I'm trying to think of who he's with right now. I'm not even sure who he's with.
He's awesome. There's so many great people.
I'll have to creep his Facebook again and see where he is. I mean, I'd say creep. He's my friend on Facebook. So,
I mean, for me too, I've got the book here still. Lisa. Episodes. I was fangirling in that episode for sure. Yeah. I've been following her for so long, and I had her book, and listened to it and stuff awesome. Like that. So for me, that was a big one.
Yeah, too. But so many creative people. So many,
and even our hosts that we've had on the show.
Yeah,
having Ryan again. When we first started having Ryan and the two of us do it, I asked you guys, and I wanted you guys to be involved with something I was doing specifically because of who you were, and Ryan was included in that. And it's too bad that he's not doing the podcast anymore, but he's still doing awesome stuff out there, and he's having a great life. He's turned his whole situation around. He's back up in Aurelia again, and he seems to be doing really well. But I know that when he had his guest on, what was his name? The gentleman who did the TV shows in Korea.
Ralston? Or no.
No, him too. But I mean, he had a few really great guests. But I was thinking Brian Dunn.
Yeah.
That's somebody that he had followed even when he was a kid. So having these opportunities is just awesome. And I hope that, the next bunch of years that we keep doing this, we keep that trend going. But I know, Aurora, you and I have talked, and I know, Mark, you probably feel the same way. I really enjoy the shows that we do without a guest.
Yeah.
On a theme kind of a thing, right? And Aurora and I were talking about this other food-based thing that we're going to do soon.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm
going to be a lot of fun.
excited for that episode because I have a lot of opinions about this. So I think it's going to be an interesting
Are
topic.
we going to talk about prepared mustard and pickles or what?
Yes, the whole show. Yes, and guns.
I'm gonna have a jar of pickles here, and every time Sean tries to say something, I'm gonna
And he's gonna quit. But there's so many different ideas that we can do. But I've been having so much fun. So thank you guys for being here since the start, and to Sean, who is now our co-host, and to John, of course, who was awesome having John on for a while. This is just so much fun. I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get to April Fools, because I don't know. When I was a kid, April Fool's Day was like as big as Halloween to me, right? I loved it. Oh yeah, it was huge. I would wait, and I would prank my mom so hard, and she hated it. I was telling Aurora, the real vivid memory of a prank against my mom is we used to have. You even said this one with the rubber band on the squeezer thing, Aurora. We used to have one of those in our kitchen, but up in her bedroom, she had a light switch where when you turn the light switch on, the plugs would turn on with it. So we put a full blender full of water and a radio plugged into that socket. And as soon as she woke up in the morning and went into her bathroom, flipped the light on, the blender went off, water went everywhere. The radio was blaring at full volume. All I could hear is my mom screaming, like, "What the fuck is this?" It was like, yes! And wait till she finds the saran wrap on the toilet seat. She's going to love that one. So I loved it. But, it was mostly harmless stuff. I'm not a very violent or evil kind of soul, so I never did anything that would ever hurt anybody. What about you guys?
So April Fool's Day is my dad's birthday, actually.
April Fools.
Yeah, so happy early birthday, Dad. He is definitely a fool, for sure. But yeah, so like we would always do something funny in relation to his birthday, I guess, for him. More specifically, my sister Hannah, like especially as she got a little bit older, she really took the April Fool's Day and Dad's birthday hand in hand and always got him some sort of gag gift or joke gift. One of the first pranks I ever pulled was the little in the kitchen, the little spray thing, and I put a rubber band around it. I put a cloth right in front of it so no one would notice there was a rubber band on it. And I remember I snuck down in the middle of the night to do it and snuck back upstairs. And then in the morning, as I was getting ready for school, hearing my parents screaming in the kitchen, and I was just like, yes. So yeah,
that's what being a kid's all about.
Yeah, it was definitely a funny prank for sure. That was probably the biggest one that I did. But for one of my dad's birthdays, I was not involved in this prank until I kind of colossally ruined it. So essentially for my dad's birthday, we're gonna all meet up. This was a few years ago. I'll meet up, I think it was a year or two before COVID. We were all going to meet up with my dad to go for dinner. And my siblings, Jason and Hannah, decided that they were going to make my dad a cake. And they iced the cake and everything and then put a YouTube URL to so my dad can be Rickrolled, basically. And he's just like, so we were leaving. We're about to go to this restaurant to have dinner with him. And my mom like yells something from upstairs in a closed door, and I don't understand what she's saying. So I'm like, okay, guys, we got to go. Dad's going to be there already and whatever. So I went and I picked up the cake and I started walking towards the door. And of course, the cake falls on the ground inside its case and stuff like that. Basically what my mom was trying to yell to me was, don't hold the cake from the handle, hold the cake from the bottom, because one of the clips was broken on the thing. So the cake and the message on the cake was destroyed. And my siblings were pretty upset trying to figure out how to fix this. So we had to kind of cut parts of the cake off and re-ice it and put the, YouTube URL back on it, scrambling so that we can get to my dad's, get to the restaurant where my dad was waiting for us. And yeah, we were able to salvage the cake, even though it was not in good condition. And we were able to give him the cake, and he didn't understand, but he looked up the YouTube video, and then he did understand after the YouTube video. He was able to laugh, and then we told him the story how we didn't give up on the cake either.
Nice.
So yeah, that was kind of a funny April Fool's Day.
That's one of the things I actually, when I was doing some research on funny April Fool's pranks, the Rick Roll put a logo, like a URL up, was one of those things. That's funny.
Yeah. So,
Awesome.
Mark?
yeah.
You know what? I like to laugh and I like to joke around, but I don't put a lot of stock into playing pranks. I remember my favorites were my dad. One year on April Fool's, got into my sister's makeup kit when she was a teenager, and he gave himself a shiner, like a nice purple, like it was purples and browns and everything. It looked like a real good shiner. And then he went to work telling everyone that my mom had hit him, right, as an April Fool's joke, sort of. This is in the I guess probably the early '80s, so it went over well with the guys at work until he got home, and then he told my mom that he'd been telling everybody she hit him all day, and it kind of blew up in his face at that point. But
probably quite literally.
I think, yeah. So probably for something like, there was never physical violence in my house. It never happened. Other than that one hole in the kitchen wall that I had to have my hand x-rayed for, but it was always an inanimate object. But anyways, I digress. The one I remember the best, though, was, I'm trying to think, it was probably in the early 80s. And growing up in Newmarket myself, was the Era Banner newspaper. And the April Fool's edition was a photo of the British Airways Concorde landing at Hare Field at the top of Holland Landing Road there. As you're heading down, and there's that little airport for helicopters and ultralights there, right? And there was a photo of somebody, and this is before Photoshop, right? Somebody had gone to the trouble of making it look like the Concorde had landed there, and it was this big write up about how the Concorde had landed at Hare Field, and there was a lot of people fell for it. So,
wow. That's dangerous. You can really piss people off with a prank sometimes.
Yeah, I find that the ones that are the best are the ones where nobody's going to get hurt, nobody's going to get super embarrassed. Like, maybe it's a funny joke, but I think that's why I never really got into it. I find like, while I like physical comedy, like I like watching physical comedy and stuff like that, physical comedy at somebody else's expense, I've never been a fan of. So. Like if you see a lot of these guys that play pranks on one another all the time, and I've never been like, if you're gonna punch a guy in the nards as a joke, not funny, right? But it's one of those things where if it's going to be a close call as a joke, okay, that's funny. Like, it's almost lost it. But if you're actually going to inflict physical pain on somebody, yeah, pick somebody else to do that too, because I will retaliate.
Well, that's where you have to be very careful, for sure. I mean, some people don't have the same kind of sense of humor, and some pranks are just done very poorly. Like the Chris Marquardt one that I'm still pissed off about with the tips from the top floor. They did this whole invisible camera prank where for months ahead of this April Fool's, they started talking about this new technology they created about the way light travels and hits this special material that they've created as this film. I think I've talked about this on a previous episode, but essentially it came out that, haha, this isn't a real thing, and all you people that tried to get involved in this are dumb. And I'm just like,
wow, yeah, that's too far.
Like, I'm an open-minded kind of guy, right? So if there's new technology that somebody says is working, especially somebody who runs a podcast on photography, I'm going to be like, oh, really? That's kind of cool. What's that all about? And then to come around and essentially say to people like, I can't believe you fell for this. Ha ha ha. There's no such way this could happen. Screw you. Never listen to him again.
I like it when companies put stock into doing an April Fool's prank, and usually it's in the form of some sort of a product release, but they don't hype it up beforehand. and it's on the day of the ad drops with
Yeah.
what is it? I'm trying to think. Orange juice and mint toothpaste or something, and it's a clear beer can or something like that. Some of them do it really, really well.
Yeah. I feel
But-
like stuff like that is fine because it's on the day of, right? And it's not hyping people for weeks or months in advance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
But-
a lot
But
better.
there are some really good, especially like with Photoshop these days, and a lot of people have some pretty good skills with Photoshop. That there could be a lot of photos that circulate that are completely April Fool's jokes, right? And I like those kind of April Fool's jokes that get people to believe it. And of course, that happens more and more often with everyday life too, right? Where people are, geez, I thought that was a real photo. But when they throw an ad campaign or like a one-day ad at something as an April Fool's prank, I've quite enjoyed a lot of those.
Yeah, me too.
So I think we were about to delve into the origins of April Fools.
Do you think you know where it came from?
Well, as luck would have it, I also did some sleuthing while we were talking about the show, and I also have found something that I think is pretty close to the truth.
Well, I highly doubt yours is as true as mine could be. But what about you, Aurora?
Yeah, I did some research, and I'm pretty sure this is true because
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's-
Well,
Leave it up to the audience, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's a
For
good
them to
idea.
decide what
Yeah,
the origin.
we do a little to tell the truth game action.
Yeah.
See which one of ours is actually correct, and let the viewers decide.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that. So, who wants to go first?
How about you, Brian?
Me? Oh, me?
Yes.
Okay. I think obviously this is the right one. There's factual evidence behind it. So anybody who's listening would definitely know that this is real. I'm going to need my glasses. Hang on a second here. The research I've gone into, it goes way back to in like 1525 in the Battle of Leipheim. So German Peasants War. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, the Holy Roman Empire against the German peasants at the time. Apparently what happened was the peasants were basically so pissed off because their leader at the time was a megalomaniac, and he was just a horrible person. And the leader of the peasants was a horrible person. And he basically got like 100,000 to 300,000 people slaughtered when his rhetoric spurred them to attack the much better prepared Roman soldiers. To end the battle and to force a final retreat, the leaders of the Roman Empire basically goaded the leader, this megalomaniac guy, to get his people to attack when they thought, hang on a second, what they thought was a group of Roman leaders making a political changeover of leadership, right? So like the Roman leaders were at their place and they were doing this changeover of leadership on April 1st, when in fact it was a trap to slaughter them for treason. So basically, they got this real egotistical jerk leader of the peasants. He heard about this Roman changeover in political whatever, and he thought, oh, hey, let's go kill him now. And he got this big uprising on April 1st to go and take over their Capitol building or something. And sadly, because of the ego of their leader, it made him oblivious to the fact that these were really just peasants that they brought to the battle, and they got slaughtered. And unfortunately, that's why it's called April Fools, because the fool was fooled and got his head and his pecker cut off, by the way. They quartered him and cut him into pieces and the whole thing. So anyway, it's too bad things like this aren't handled these days, because I think some of the political leaders could probably handle this treatment as well.
Damn.
That's the reason, the origin story
That is pretty
of
dark.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, that's
That-
very gruesome.
That is pretty dark.
I'm just telling you what I read. I mean, what I found is fact. So I don't know. What do you guys have?
Yeah. So, Aurora, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. I'll go
Your
next.
fable, of course.
Uh,
We all know mine is the real one.
No, I'm pretty sure I have the real one. I have the real one. Anyway, okay, so William Summers was a beloved natural fool, or what we now call them court jesters, of the King Henry VIII of England. In 1525, he was introduced to King Henry VIII by somebody else, one of the trusted members of his group.
1525 is the same year as the Battle of Leipzig.
I know.
How did that
As you
even
were
happen?
as you were saying that, I heard that, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Just saying,
Anyway,
like, two people choosing the
that
same
is not
date.
the
for their big
original
story.
origin. That is not the original origin
All right.
of April Fool's Day, but he was introduced to the king, and he was the king's faithful fool until his death until the king's death in 1547. He was so loved by the king, in fact, that there is a portrait of the king and his family with him in the background. I actually really want to bring this photo up here if I can. If I can send it in the Facebook group, would you be able to bring that up?
Sure. You don't want to just do a screen share?
Just give me a second here. If I can get that. Here. Send. I'm just going to bring it up on here. Here we go. See if I can bring this on here.
Okay. Share screen, window.
Did you get it?
Yep.
Sweet.
There it is. Oh.
So actually, this is King Henry VIII's family there, but on the far right-hand side in the back in the corner there, that's actually William Summers, the court jester. And on the left-hand side, that's actually, I believe, Jane the Fool, Anne's court jester. So they were both very loved by the family.
This is not a photograph. This is an artist rendering. So this doesn't mean it's fact.
It doesn't mean it's fact. It doesn't mean it's fact, but it is proof that they were so loved by the king and his family. So in the king's later years, he had a painful leg condition. And it was known that Will Summers was the only person who could lift his spirits. So the king was so grateful, as a gift to Summers. On April 1st, he hired a fool or jester for him to enjoy, for Will to enjoy, and that is the true origin of April Fool's Day.
Because the king hired a fool for the fool.
Yes.
Oh, different year.
1546.
Okay, well that's okay. That's like 21 years later.
21 years later, but I still believe mine is the truth.
You're going too far back. You're way too far back in your history. The true origins of April Fool's Day are much more recent than the 1500s and King Henry VIII. So the real origins of April Fool's Day started in 1922, where a gentleman by the name of Larry Fine him and his friend Mo Howard were joking around. And so the next morning, Larry couldn't have let Joe have the last sort of joke. So the next morning, he set up a little trap. We talked about the bathrooms earlier. So he set up a little trap in the outhouse for his friend Mo. And when Mo went out there was a bucket of shaving cream. When he opened the door, the shaving cream came down on Mo. And of course, the person that witnessed it was their friend Curly Howard. So spawning this whole career for Larry, Curly, and Moe, otherwise known as the Three Stooges. And comedy. That's how it started, was with this one joke of the bucket of shaving cream in the back house in 1922. And their career spanned until 1970, doing their slapstick and musical comedy. So that's and that happened to be April 1st, that first joke.
So you're saying the Three Stooges started April Fool's Day?
That is correct. Yes.
Interesting.
I almost believe that one.
Yeah.
It's because it's true. You should believe it.
If I didn't know that mine was right, I would probably go with yours.
Yeah, but yours, I know yours is wrong. So I'm.
But no, if you actually look it up, 1525 is the year it
Aurora even
started.
just picked the same date as you. I'm not even sure how that happened.
But she didn't. She corrected it.
It
'cause
was
it's
it was
actually-
1546 was the year of
well,
the
same
origin.
Same century.
1525 is when the king met his beloved Jester.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yes.
I think King Henry VIII was too busy offing his wives to worry about it.
Oof.
I actually agree with that, and that's why the German Peasants' War versus the Holy Roman Empire in 1525 much more
It-
viable.
I don't know. He
I
was
mean, look it up.
so dedicated
100,000 to
this.
300,000 people died for
Jester.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too big. That's not a joke. That's not a prank anymore. That's like a fucking shit. Right on the head. All he was
That's
going
funny.
to was morning constitutional, and that's it. But
All right. So since it was created, obviously there have been many amazing pranks and many amazing craziness things. I'm just going to go over a couple that maybe you guys haven't done, maybe I haven't done before, but I've done some research on just to kind of show how crazy the world actually is. One of them obviously is the Rickroll. I think, I mean, come on. I love Rickroll. I just do. I send it to Steve all the time.
I've sent you a few.
Yeah, exactly. Every time you get a good one, you have no clue. It's like you send this, like, and all of a sudden they Rickroll you. Or the ones where they like give you the finger that you're not expecting it. I like those too. Aurora, you've done this one, the sugar for salt. You told me you did this one.
Yes, I did do this one. I did do this prank.
See, I wouldn't do that because some people just can't have salt in their diet.
Well, and
Yeah.
also depending on where you are, my wife and I were. It was our anniversary one year, and we were at the Marché downtown Toronto in the First Canadian Place Marché. And if you've ever eaten there, they have these divine crepes that you can get for dessert, but they are
Divine.
expensive. They're like it's like $12, and it is worth every penny. And you get strawberries with cream chocolate, whatever you want. And there was a table, the next table over, there was a bunch of like younger kids, and somebody had gone and got one of these big crepes, and you pay for it, like it's not like anything. And he got up to go to the washroom, and his friend unrolled it and filled it with salt and poured it back up on him. And so when he got back, his crepe was completely ruined. And,
Ugh.
Oh no.
Chris and I are like, we're mad. I'm like, I'd have eaten it. Like I would have, I'd be scraping the salt off it. But
I would get a new one, and he'd be paying for it.
Yeah, I would do that if it were
exactly.
me.
Yeah.
Don't mess with my food.
Right? Yeah. Right, yeah. Stab a fork in the hand. Fork doesn't share food.
Exactly.
Follow
No, thank
Nick's
you.
advice.
No. Here's a funny one. Take some chunky peanut butter and like mix it with chocolate or something, and then put it on someone's shoe. And they think they have like poop on their shoe. And then to make it worse, you just kind of take a little piece and you eat it. Like, ooh, gross.
No.
No, not that one.
Ooh,
I thought of eating peanut butter off someone's shoe is pretty gross.
Yeah,
I
that's
have a
pretty
wet
gross.
dog here.
That's what I was getting hung up on. Is eating peanut
Yeah,
butter on
no.
somebody's shoe.
Nope, that's not a good one. Jello. You could use Jello as a friend. There's stories of people taking someone's stapler and putting it in Jello, and then
Yeah, iconic scene from The Office.
exactly.
Jim pranking Dwight.
Not April Fools, but friends of mine and I once made Jello in somebody's toilet at a party.
Oof.
That was fun.
How do you handle
Inside
that?
a toilet?
Yeah, made Jello in the toilet.
In the
Worked out
back
well.
or in the bowl?
In the bowl, right? You see it that way, right?
In the back would be horrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You go to flush.
Sheesh.
Wow. That's a new one. I've never heard that one.
Did you guys know in France, April Fool's Day is called Poisson d'Avril? which basically is translated to the fish of April.
Fish of April.
French children celebrate by taping cutout paper fish onto their classmates' backs. I'm not sure why, but it sounds funny and harmless to all.
There you go.
That's
Interesting.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So
So-
petit poisson.
Oh, here's one for you. The Cookie Monster, they call it. It's where you take some Oreo cookies and you unscrew them and you scoop out all the tasty stuff and you put toothpaste in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you're my sister, you just scoop out all the good stuff and leave the wafers in the bag.
Well, at least that's okay. I mean, you can eat the wafers, but
Yeah, but there's no white stuff. I mean, that's why you buy Oreos, for the white stuff.
at least she was considerate and didn't put toothpaste in there.
Yeah. No. She's probably planning on coming back for the wafers later or something.
Have you guys ever April Fool's pranked your cat or your dog?
Mm,
Not necessarily an April Fool's prank, but I've done the hide from them. Like when I come in, if the dogs are elsewhere in the house, normally they hear me and they come barking and they come running to the front hall, and then sometimes I'll hide. And when they get there, they think I've ducked back out or something, and then I'll sort of pop around the corner. And they jump around and yeah.
I love a dog when it gets excited. But yeah, have you ever heard where you take like tape and you basically tape a box on the floor and your cat will walk into it and won't walk out? It'll feel like it's trapped.
No.
Apparently it's a thing. I want to try it to Dixie, but she has a memory and she's spiteful. And
I've also heard that cats are terrified of cucumbers.
yeah, and
Have you seen
tinfoil.
have you seen those videos of the cats jumping with
Yeah.
cucumbers?
Well, apparently that has got something to do with a fight or flight response, and I think it's a snake.
Oh,
But,
interesting. Yeah, I've seen people prank their cats with that.
know.
I've never done it myself.
I
but-
made salad for dinner, and the dogs sit there waiting for pieces of cucumber. While, they're like, oh, I'll eat it. So I give them cucumber, and then they get carrots and peppers and whatever.
At least they're eating well. That's good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
And for the record, I would never prank my cat in a harmful way, like feeding it bad things or anything. I love my cat. She's awesome.
I was getting ready for work this morning, and I was in the bathroom. I stepped back and stepped on Nitro's tail, and it was, and I'm like, oh, buddy,
You feel horrible. Can you only
No,
imagine
you
how
feel
bad that
terrible.
hurts?
you feel
Yeah.
terrible, right?
Yeah.
Cats' tails are everything.
I know. You accidentally bump into your wife, and you're like, yeah, you should have been there anyway. But the cat, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, bud.
But at least the wife can tell you how bad it hurts,
Yeah, right.
right? The cat would be like,
It still hits you
scream.
back, right? So yeah.
Anyway, this has been fun. There's been a lot of fun stuff we've talked about for April Fools. Talked about our anniversary. Talked about
Yeah.
Aurora getting married, which is still exciting for everybody. So many things. We have a lot of extra shows coming up as well. A lot of really fun shows coming up. People, guests that we have coming on, topics that are a little bit different than we've done in the past. But I think that's about it for us tonight. What do you think, guys? You have anything else you'd like to add?
I think we're good. I think it's going to be good. Everybody, April Fools, because this airs the day before April Fools, right?
Just a day or two before, yeah.
Day or two before. Okay, so if you're going to prank somebody in April Fools, keep it safe, keep it tasteful, and above all, keep it funny. And for the love of God, videotape it and send it to us.
Yes, I want to see your pranks if you prank somebody.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. And then we can do a whole show just going over all the pranks people did.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that would be
Maybe
awesome.
we'll have the best prankster on as a guest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be even better.
Ooh, yeah, I would love
I like
that.
where this is going. Of course, we'll get no submissions and we'll be lonely.
I know, right? Well, the 3 people that watch us.
I know, it's true. And for those 3 people, thank you very much. And for all the people that happen to stumble on this little show, click like, subscribe to our channel because we're doing this every week and we love doing it and we're going to continue doing it. So we'll see you all soon. Aurora, anything else you'd like to add before I say goodbye?
I guess where people can send the videos.
Oh, right. expressionsthepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll make the link on the
For the videos, as well as if you don't want to comment on the YouTube channel or whatever, you can also send us an email telling us which story you thought was the correct origin.
It
Mine.
was 1525.
It was
course.
1546.
1922.
It's just so wrong. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Aurora, Mark, thank you both for being here this week. Sean, stay safe out there tonight, my friend, and we'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.